Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. PsychicTarot.ca, book your tarot reading and unlock your spiritual journey. And the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids and cubs, and welcome to Season 5 and episode number 655 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. 100% Canadian. Today, recording day is Monday, May 26, 2025, and it looks like I'm not sure what kind of day it's going to be here. Looks like it might want to have some sunshine, but it's not gray and dreary, but it's not bright blue either. So we'll see what the day has in store for us. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, and with me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly, as well as the twins, Mary Kate and Ashley. Say good morning. A big thank you goes to our podcast funding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. Before we do anything else,
CanadianTarot.ca?
No, Psychic.
Psychic. Yes,
Psychic
right.
Tarot.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm
Yes.
mixed up. My bad.
It used to be CanadianTarot.com.
Yeah.
Not Psychic.
There we go. I'm so confused this morning. I'm really not awake yet. I'm not. And I've been up since 5, and I just can't seem to wake up this morning. I don't know what it is. And I'm just checking the weather here. We're expecting a high of 22, but it's supposed to start raining around 2 p.m.
Oh, okay.
It's sunny, bright and sunny right now. Nary a cloud in the sky, but it's gonna start raining a little later on. But between now and then, I'm going to try and enjoy as much of this beautiful weather as we can get.
All right. Pardon me while I adjust my hair, but my ponytail is actually giving me a headache.
That happens. That happens. I used to know what that was like.
And I noticed that the glare on my glasses was a little much too, so I took those off. They're not helpful. All right. Well, gee. Hockey, for those who follow, we mentioned it on the sort of like pre-record because it was there at the end, but we didn't really have a chance to talk about it. But Denmark, damn.
Yeah. Defeated Canada and then went on to challenge for the bronze. I don't know what the result of that match was, but I do know that they defeated Canada 2-1 in the last few seconds of the game. And look, we got to hand it to their goaltender who stood on his head and made miracles to get them that win. But good for Denmark, Oh, well done. You slayed a giant. You really did. I mean, Sidney Crosby was there, for crying out loud.
Right.
So it's not a small thing.
Fair and square. Unfortunately, they lost to Sweden 6-2.
Oh, okay.
So it ended up 4th. And the United States won a first world championship since 1933.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Switzerland 1-0, and it had to go to overtime.
Wow.
So So yeah, United States, Switzerland, Sweden was the podium. A little unexpected. And then the Ottawa Charge, you're breaking my heart. You're breaking my heart. Triple overtime,
Mm.
and they lost. And it's like they were 30 seconds away from being 2-0 up. It's like So, but there's still some hockey to be played there. So I still believe. So, but that will be at 5 o'clock today. So it could be the final game. Could be the Ottawa Charge are on the brink of elimination. Minnesota Frost
Yeah, because
probably went
it's
away.
only a 5-game series max. It's 3 victories and that's it.
Exactly.
So.
But I mean, with all the extra overtime.
Yeah.
Right. We essentially got pretty much a sixth match already with yesterday alone. And then they had that quadruple one with Montreal in the first round. And that's a lot of skating. Well, they're working hard for their money. I'll just say that.
Oh yes, very
Oh
much
my,
so.
wow. But yes, today at 5, that could be the last one. And then Oilers.
Pulled it off. They pulled it
Ah,
off. And I mean, that's 2 back-to-back games. They won one in Dallas and won one at home, which is pretty awesome if you ask me. And I think they're just going to continue to carry it on because they've shown that they're capable and that they will.
6-1.
Yeah, they're just going to continue to win.
And Dallas is a
They
really good team.
Yeah, but they've got them figured out. And once the Oilers figure you out, it's kind of that's the end of the series. They're going to win it. They're going to win it. And I don't know what the Stanley Cup final result will be, but
Mhm.
Edmonton and it will be Florida. So the defending champs are going to play against Edmonton. So we have a rematch of last year, is my prediction. I don't know how
Okay.
it's going to play out, but I do think that Edmonton has got the gas to pull it off. I really do. I think
Mm.
they've got the gas. Look, they went to the finals last year, came back. They were down 3-1, came back, took it to 7 games and lost in game 7 against a team that was in physically better shape than them because you had so many injuries on the Oilers last year. I think this year they're going to concentrate on staying as healthy as possible, which is, key to victory. But I
Right.
also believe that they have the ability to figure Florida out and beat them. They've got Dallas figured out. It's, I think that this series could go to 6 at the most. I don't think it's going to go to 7. I really don't.
Okay.
And it looks like Florida is going to sweep because they're up 3 games to none, and they play tonight, I believe. So they
Oh man.
they could sweep Carolina tonight. They
And
could. It's not a guarantee. I'd like to see Carolina at least get 1 win. I hate to see any team get swept. I
yeah,
really do.
I mean,
I really
especially at
do.
this level.
Yeah, you want to see, a great entertaining game, but I don't like to see anybody get swept, including the Leafs.
Yeah.
When
But
we play them, I want to see at least 5 games.
but they've been very, very convincing wins. 6-2, 5-0, and 5-2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof.
And Skinner was
It's like a
hot last night.
machine.
Skinner was hot. Yeah. He
Wow.
really was. He was, and you're right. When he's cold, he's ice cold. When he's hot, forget about it. You're not scoring on him. He's just too good. So,
And for those of you who are following the French Open, Victoria Mboko, she
mm,
just keeps on winning. First
yeah.
round match, Mboko entered the tournament ranked 120th in the world. Remember, she started the year at 333. She's playing against Lulu Sun from China, ranked 45th in the world. Straight sets.
Yeah.
6-1.
That's
She
it.
won the first 5 games. She was up 5-0 in the first set. Then Lulu Sun kind of figured it out. Like I said, that all throughout there was the third game in the second set. I think it went came back to deuce like 7 or 8 times. I mean, it was just this one game that went on forever. It was unflappable. She's 18, unflappable. She kept going for it. She didn't take anything off. She kept going. Like I said, even though she kept on being frustrated because, I think it probably took about 6 minutes to play just that one game because they kept on coming back to deuce. Just never gave up. A couple times let out some yell like, "Rah," like, God, what do I have to do? Kind of yells, but held it like this, and then ran all the way. Went to a tie break, and Lulu Sun missed one on her serve
Mm-hmm.
I guess. And Victoria Mboko just like went off to the races. That was the break I needed, and then she just cleaned it up. Didn't flinch
So,
at all.
what part of the tournament is she in right now?
She's now in the second round she's in the main draw. So she did
Okay.
all 3 matches of qualification. This was her first main draw, and the Grand Slam is they have 128 players start in the draw. So there's 7 rounds, and there are no buys.
How old is she?
18.
Okay, so yeah, she's just starting out.
18.
And how's Bianca doing?
Bianca had to go through even though she was in the top 100, the rankings start like from 2 weeks before, so she had entered too late. So
Mhm.
they did make her go through qualifications. She won her first round, but lost in the second,
Oh,
and is
okay.
not in the
'Cause
main draw.
I did watch her in the first round. I saw a couple of matches, and she was looking pretty solid, but I didn't.
Yeah, that was in Rome.
Yeah.
And then Layla Fernet. The Canadians got like really terrible draws. It's like it's a grand. There's 128 people in the table, and sometimes you get like somebody like 200 that makes it way through, right? The top 32 get a place that they can't face each other in the first or second round. So the worst thing that can happen to you is like you're 32 and you draw number 33.
Mm.
Layla Fernandez, 27, she draws 34. The first round, she lost. It's like, come on, man. And I think the same thing. So the Gabriel Diallo, the other phenom on the men's side, gets the first round. And he draws a Serendula, who's 18th in the world. It's just like he's 54th, but he draws 18th in the world. It's like, come on, man. So yeah, a little bit of an uphill climb for the Canadians in this one, but yeah, Victoria Mboko is already the last woman standing.
Well,
for Canada.
let's see what she can do.
She's playing like she's a top 45 player in the world right now.
We'll see.
So-
I mean, she's again young and doesn't have experience at this level, so time will tell. But sometimes that can work to your advantage because you're coming in not knowing what to expect, right?
Sometimes I think Jennifer Capriati was like that when she came up out of the blue. It's like she just didn't know any better.
Yeah.
She just kept swinging. She didn't know she could lose. So, man, I tell you. But yeah, she's just phenomenal. I think she's won 9 of her last 10 matches.
Oh, fantastic!
Just crazy good. I think she's only lost like maybe 5 or 6 times this whole year so far. We're in May now.
Wow.
Yeah, she's really phenomenal.
Taking innocent, taking names.
And like I said, like that poise. I mean, her first ever Grand Slam match, main draw, number 45 in the world, no problem. But she's ready.
Oh yeah,
it's either blissful ignorance, she does not know enough to be scared yet, or
that's cool.
and that's fine like this, or she's just like this total phenomenon. But that's wow. And it's fun watching her play too. She really goes for it. Oh, what did you see, Mr. Grizzly?
I'm gonna put this on the screen. This is just, oh my goodness.
No, not that. He does the same thing every time, every holiday.
Memorial
Doesn't
Day.
matter.
Happy Memorial Day to all, including the scum that spent the last 4 years trying to destroy our country. Like, what the hell is wrong with this man? Like, it just
It's he did. We shouldn't be even shocked or surprised anymore. He does it for every freaking holiday,
yeah.
including the or except the, and then makes it about everything except for the holiday. It's
Well,
like he's a one-trick phony.
The one statement here is he tweeted half an hour ago, Happy Memorial Day, and the response to that, the first response was, this dumbass said happy. Imagine dodging the draft 5 times and then wishing people a happy day for the folks who didn't make it back. This is expected from a man who called fallen soldiers losers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. It's just a waste of time. He's just anyway. Back to serious stuff. The judicial recount in Terra Nova, the peninsulas, that was projected. The judges came out and said that the result would come out on Friday at some point because it had been delayed for some water work, municipal work. That happened. Came in, and surprise, the seat flipped to the Conservatives. Conservative candidate Jonathan Rowe has defeated Liberal Anthony Germain by 12 votes. So it was 12 votes for Germain before. Now it's 12 votes for Jonathan Rowe. In the Newfoundland district of Terre-Neuve, the peninsula is following a judicial recount. Rowe initially lost the seat on election night to Germain by 12 votes. Again, I'm reading from CBC here. Quote, 12 votes, it's not a lot, but it's enough, and we're thankful for it, Rowe told CBC News shortly after his win was declared. Quote, it's certainly exciting. Rowe's victory gives the Conservatives their third seat in Newfoundland and Labrador. It also moves the Conservatives to 144 seats nationally and keeps the Liberal Party at minority government at 169 seats. Rowe says he doesn't have time to celebrate the victory with the amount of work he knows he's ahead, and he will be traveling to Ottawa on Saturday, because this was decided on Friday, leaving his career as an engineer to head for Parliament Hill. Quote, we're a little behind, but the focus is still the same. We've got a district that's reliant on natural resources. We've got to make sure that we've got to hold this Liberal government accountable and make sure they're aware of the importance that natural resources has on our industry, and make sure we can get good, powerful paychecks to local people. So the recount started in Marystown on May 12th, nearly 2 weeks ago, and they wanted to see there was about 1,041 ballots, which was an unprecedented number, but that people singled out and said, we want you to look at all of these. So the judge looked at all of those. So that took some time to do because, again, for every ballot you're looking at it, like this, and there are people in the room and you're discussing the ballot. And of course, the main criteria is the voter's intent clear. And then they're all discussing that, like this, getting input to try and determine. So, but they had to do that 1,041 times.
Wow.
So,
well, where are the conspiracy theorists that said, that this election was rigged and the vote count was, it's when it goes their way. No, that democracy in action. When it doesn't go their way, rigged.
Yep. So again, like we explored last time, right? They keep on counting, and how do they find all those extra votes? And why is it always the Liberals get the extra votes? Well, now we have 4 recounts, and we had 2 that went the Conservatives' way, and we had 2 that went the Liberals' way. Well, 1 that went the Liberals' way because Terrebonne were still waiting. Ultimately, we might have a full other election. So all the screaming and yelling for the past 2 weeks and the conspiracy theorying, and right now it's Conservatives 2, Liberals 1, when there was a chance of Liberals going 4-0. So many trees died for this.
Mm-hmm.
It's nonsense. All the time nonsense. They're actually out ahead. And they've been whining the whole damn time.
It's never going to stop.
And Kit on there said, I'm thinking, okay, now will you shut up about all of this? And the kids, no, they're probably just going to turn around and say, it was because of this. We saved it and pulled it back from the Liberals. Give us more money. It's like, yeah, that's probably right. It's like, yeah, that tracks. That sounds like them.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But hey, it's there. So all the other 3 are resolved. They're final. The last one is Terrebonne, and it seems that that's going to trial, brought there by the Bloc Québécois to get a judge to order at the Bloc Québécois request an actual whole new election. And then again, hopefully somewhere along the way, someone will notice that Nunavik riding probably deserves a new election too. Maybe at some point someone will notice.
Maybe.
I mean, right?
I wouldn't hold my breath on
I know.
But maybe.
And then someone will have to wonder why it is exactly that if we do get that by-election, that why it is exactly that Pierre is not going to run up in Nunavik instead and upend another election that was very conclusive. Yeah. So, sticky times to come. But yes, except for that one thing left, they're all settled, but we still can't consider the results of this election final yet.
No, they're not. We're going to continue to see flip-flops and changes as these recounts go on. And again, when you get in, like you said, when you get into judicial recounts, that's it. It's final. So we still have are we going to have another election in Terrebonne?
Yeah. Well, that's what the court's going to decide at this point. Like this, but
Yeah.
all counting right now is over. And as far
Okay.
as Elections Canada is concerned, Tatiana Auguste from the Liberal has won that seat. Liberal Party has won that seat by one vote
Mhm.
until a judge orders or not another election, or that the votes,
by-election,
the 6 votes
yeah.
be counted, one or the other, because that's the other possible solution. But unless that happens, and then and let's say in the case of a by-election, the by-election is held, the count and the verification at least is held, and then I think there's about like an extra 20 or 30 days to audit. Right, that's the whole reason why Damien Couric couldn't give up his seat right away. That would still apply to that particular riding. It maybe wouldn't take 30 days because it's just one election. That part may be shorter. And from that point on, at that point, if the seat goes another way than the Liberal, that would be the time that that person would be able to take that seat. But until such time as that happens, Tatiana Auguste is the legitimate holder of that seat for the Liberal Party. So as far as Elections Canada is concerned, this is final.
Right.
There's no more counting and whatnot. There's still the Bloc Québécois thing. So while for Elections Canada said this is over, et c'est pas fini, et ça continue.
Well, let's just see
It's
what
democracy.
happens. You know?
It's democracy. Sometimes it's a little messy.
Oh yeah.
Right. So all of that is done over the course of the weekend. Prime Minister Mark Carney and leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. Should I just no? I won't be petty just yet. I didn't add merely. Pierre,
Does he get paid for that position extra? Is there an extra salary on top?
I assume the party must pay him a salary, and if it wasn't, I'm sure they probably made a temporary exception.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, but there are certain parties
turned
that
down
pay.
his severance though. He said no to his severance.
Okay.
Because you do get like a severance package and a pay and a this and all this. And
Yes.
he said no to it.
Well, accepting the severance would could then be taken by the media as he's planning to leave.
Yeah.
So maybe you don't even want to create that narrative whatsoever, right? Stay far away from. See, it's interesting.
He doesn't need the money.
See, but I'm glad you mentioned that because see, when it comes to conflict of interest, right? It's not only avoid all conflict of interest, but avoid all semblance of conflict of interest. So that means if the line is here, keep it here, right? Instead of here.
Yes.
Right? When it comes to is Pierre legitimate MP? Is he still the leader or whatnot? Well, you can get your severance. Yeah, good. But that creates the opportunity for people to think, so I'm just going to keep it here. I'm not going to. So it's funny how he can do it when it's to his own self-preservation in the minds of Canadians as a potential future prime minister, but he can't avoid conflict of interest. It's the same principle. So now we know you can do it. You showed us you're capable. But he has a lifetime compliance agreement with Elections Canada.
Funny how that works.
You just, as soon as you said that, you made me think, oh my God, that's the same damn principle.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Good catch, Mr. Grizzly. I didn't hear that about the severance at all.
Yeah, he had said that he was not going to accept it. That was a news release I read about a couple of days ago, and I said, interesting. You know, there's a reason for that.
Yes, because this guy loves money.
Yeah, so there's a reason he's not accepting it,
and he loves public money.
It's definitely PR. It's PR more than anything else. It's probably Jenny Byrne going, don't take that. Don't take your severance, because then the government will say, the media will say, that's it. You're finished. You're done. Yep. Not only that, if he takes the severance and then wins a by-election, it's like,
extra complication.
Bro.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yes. But again, new behavior. A conservative said no to taking the dough. Something's up.
There's a method there. There's a method to that madness. I guarantee you. There's something afoot. There's a plot. Definitely. There's no way he would just leave money on the table like that. No
Not
way.
This one. My God. I mean, he's been rejected and he's still trying to find a way to get back in because 20 years of suckling off the public teat with zero productivity wasn't enough.
Well, I mean, come on. He addressed the caucus yesterday before the House resumes sitting today, and I'm like, why is he's unemployed? Why is he addressing anybody?
Well, because he's the leader of the party, right?
Yeah.
But fortunately for him, now that Parliament is resuming, there are actually MPs on the Hill, so now he's allowed back in Parliament. So no more standing in front of the Parliament, waving to, who knows, walking way to, where to?
Yeah.
He has escorts now. He can actually go in.
Yeah, that's funny. He has his press conferences where there's nobody there, and he's looking at people. There's nobody there.
So
there's no press to take questions. It's whoever is operating the camera, and I mean,
so for the next 3 to 4 weeks, he'll have no problem doing press conferences in the sort of like rotunda area of the Parliament, because they'll always have someone. But then after 4 weeks, they go back for their summer pancake flips and stuff like that. And then
yes.
Pierre, if he's not in, where he should be knocking on doors and earning votes right now, but if he's not there the full time, because I mean, they chose an interim leader for a reason, right? That means Andrew's got it.
Mm-hmm.
That means you should be able to go, Pierre. But I guess Pierre doesn't trust Andrew to have it. I wonder why.
I think
like the same reason for which he put Andrew there in the first place, so nobody could see anybody new in the job and start getting any ideas, is the same reason he needs to stay while Andrew's in the job.
Well,
because he can't leave him alone with a pack of matches.
The statement here from PNC Bio: he'll start taking daily tours and doing TikToks from inside Parliament in the balcony, which would also be known as the press gallery or the gallery in the House of Commons, because he can't sit in the seat. He's not allowed to go down and sit on the floor of the House of Commons, but he could attend in the gallery.
Yeah.
And I can see him doing that.
I can see him do that. Like take a tour, like just a 30-second TikTok on the way. Like, come on, keep up. Okay,
here we are walking through the People's House, and I'm going to make sure that the people get it back.
Okay. Listen, not to give him any ideas, right? But, dude, there's that whole other press gallery in the sort of like the blue room.
Mm-hmm.
Or community. Why don't you just go there every day and do why this big thing where you're sitting in front of? Just go to the other room.
I don't know. He just doesn't know how to do anything without being an agent of chaos. And right now, and I've got the headline you sent to me, it said, "Conservatives will cooperate with Liberals to end U.S. trade dispute, Pierre Poilièvre." Well, you're supposed to do that. That is actually your job.
Yeah. If you're putting Canada first.
When you're in opposition, you are supposed to oppose, yes, but propose.
Yes.
Oppose and propose.
Yes.
Now you could say, okay, that plan's pretty good, but I oppose it, and here's why. Here's what I propose to make changes or additions to your plan.
Right.
They have not done that in the last several years. All they've done is said no to everything. There's been no proposals from the opposition. They've just opposed and voted no on everything. They voted no against a school lunch program for children. Resoundingly voted no. They voted no against dental care. They voted no against $10 a day daycare. They voted no against everything that would help the average Canadian. And they're like, well, we oppose this. Okay, why? Well, it could be better. Okay, how? We just oppose it. Okay, but how could it be better? If you think it can be better, and everybody in the House, with the exception of your team, is voting yes, what is it that you think is going to make it so much better?
It's not our plan. Our plan's better.
That's all it is. But what's your plan? Well, we're not in power, so we're
axe the tax, fix the budget. I'm sorry.
Axe the tax. How did that work out?
That's the plan.
Stop the crime, build the homes. How many homes has the province of Ontario built under Doug Ford's tutelage?
Not good,
None.
and it's going
Zero.
down.
Not a single one. The province has not built anything.
Well, yes, that's true.
And he keeps saying, we're building homes. No, Douglas, you're not. You're not building homes.
Don't call him Douglas.
Dougie.
Please.
No, Doug, you've not built a single home. You're not building any homes. Private developers are building homes, not the province of Ontario. Stop lying. Stop lying.
Yeah. I get what you're doing. I understand. But it's like, I go by Douglas Furman.
I know.
I am not.
Well, I was trying to scold him like a schoolmarm.
I know. It just gave me a chill. Right?
Well, I like this one from Tavi G. Pull a shear and simply smear.
Weekend slogan too. So yeah, Pierre did have that meeting. Indeed, said that they would cooperate, according to Craig Lord of the Canadian Press. He met with his Conservative caucus on Sunday. He had a nearly 15-minute opening address to the party's MPs. That was open to media, of course, and laid out the plans that he had, and said, quote, I've already told the Prime Minister that we are happy to cooperate any way we can to bring about an end to this unnecessary dispute and restore not just our sovereignty, but also tariff-free access to the most successful international trading arrangement in the world. Poilièvre went on to accuse Carney of putting his elbows down when it came to opening up the exemptions for some counter tariffs levied against the United States. Quote, despite the Prime Minister's doublespeak, we will work, as I said, to help him try to get a trade deal to put an end to the tariffs. But we also need to focus on making our own economy more independent and self-reliant so that we're no longer vulnerable to such international surprises. So, I've already told the Prime Minister we're happy to cooperate, but despite his doublespeak and putting his elbows down. Wow. Great start to that relationship, buddy. There's more of that learning and growing and changing. Look at me. Look at me. I'm not changing.
Well, this just in.
Literally. Accuses the Prime Minister of doublespeak and says, I'm happy to work cooperatively with you.
Come on. Fuck. Pull my other leg and it plays Jingle Bells. Come on. Come on.
I'd love to work with you. You're a scumbag.
Like, come on.
Come have a sit at my table, you jerk. Oh God. He just can't be human.
No,
he just can't turn it off.
Well, you remember that? Well, I'll read this to you in just a sec. But you remember the image we had of him somewhere, and somebody says, "Oh, and there it is. He just got the word in his earpiece to smile, and he put on that fake robotic smile." Like, oof, cringe. Oh, I just reading here. It says we will not see a farewell tour by Alexander Ovechkin or Malkin at the 2026 Olympics in Italy due to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Russia will not be a part of the 2026 Olympic Games. Ooh. They're being replaced by France.
Damn.
So yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Good.
Interesting.
And you know,
France. I look. I like Alexander Ovechkin as a hockey player. I think he's a brilliant player. I don't know what he's like as a person. And everybody's like, well, why does he keep putting support by Putin? I go, you do realize his extended family lives in Russia.
Yep.
And if he speaks out against Putin, he's placing them in serious jeopardy.
Now, it could be he does support Putin. But
could be.
There is a very legitimate reason why he might be saying he does when he does not.
I mean, he has to look out for his family. He has come out and said he is against terrorism of any type and this and that and the other thing. And so, you know, he probably doesn't want this war any more than we do. But he has to. It's called self-preservation.
Yeah,
right?
That's why and none of us, statistically, it could be one or the other. And we have absolutely nothing one way or the other. Right? So this one is between only he knows. Mm-hmm. Anyone could speculate and whatnot, but yeah.
Well, and you know, here's the statement, you know, he can afford to move them. Yeah, he probably can, but do they necessarily want to? Do they speak English? Like, where is he going to move
let them go if they're leveraged?
Well, this is the other thing. You know, there's a lot of balls being juggled in the air on that one, you know.
Yeah, it's simple solutions to very complex and intricate affairs usually are not the solution.
No. Well, and again, this is a unique situation, and
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you saw the tweet from Trump
Oh
about
yes, because
this.
they're upset. Yeah, he's up, and he. There are more articles coming out stating that and things that Trump's getting played.
Yeah.
So and Trump doesn't like this. So
he does not like to be made a fool of. So
mm-hmm.
this is his statement. I've always had a very good relationship with Vladimir Putin of Russia, but something has happened to him. He has gone absolutely crazy. He is needlessly killing a lot of people. And I'm not just talking about soldiers. Missiles and drones are being shot into cities in Ukraine for no reason whatsoever. I have always said that he wants all of Ukraine, not just a piece of it. Has he always said that? I don't know. And maybe that's proven to be right. But if he does, it will lead to the downfall of Russia. Likewise, President Zelensky is doing his country no favors by talking the way he does. Everything out of his mouth causes problems. I don't like it, and it better stop. Who the hell are you to say that? Your nation wasn't invaded by a warring faction. So, this is Zelensky's, Putin's, and Biden's war, not Trump's. I'm only helping to put out the big and ugly fires that have been started through gross incompetence and hatred. Nobody asked you to. You said you would stop the war on the first day. You didn't, and you won't.
Thank you. Next.
Yeah.
I mean, again, not that there isn't a role for the United States in a normal circumstance like this, if there was, but I mean, they have to be asked. They can't just walk in, okay, I've decided the time's up for the war. It's like, it doesn't work that way. Again, as we keep on saying on this show, man, it's like nations don't have friends, they have interests, and there's always a real politics situation. There is never going to be a stop for the war for Putin because there's nothing in his self-interest in it. The moment the war is won, it won't take long to Swan Lake is playing on straight TV because there's no need for him anymore. And same thing out in Gaza, right? There's absolutely no incentive for Netanyahu to stop because the moment that war stops, all the processes to send his butt back in jail start over again. And now there are new processes because of what he did in this war, or what he's alleged to have done in this war.
They won't say alleged. Netanyahu cannot come out of this alive, basically, is what it boils down to. He will die in prison.
So neither of these two men have any self-vested interest to have these wars end. So Trump can Trump can go up there and yell, says, I want these wars to end, unless he's prepared to actually cut all funding.
Yes.
All funding to Israel like this, and then start a whole other thing. That happens because there'll be consequences to that too. Right? This is going to go on so long as these two want this to go on.
That's it.
And that's one of the reasons why I get so dismayed that like we're fighting each other in the streets a little bit here this way in terms of these protests, because yes, I mean, I'd like to think nobody wants people to die, but I'm not convinced of that either anymore. But for those of us who, like humanity, like people, yes, we could protest, but not saying that there's nothing that we can do. I guess we shouldn't do anything. Yes, we should do stuff like this and make our voices heard and whatnot like this. But we also have to have realistic expectations. Exactly. You have two people that are putting themselves above anything. They're ready to burn it all down. United Nations, ICC, ICJ, they don't care.
No, they don't. They don't.
Sanctions, they don't care. They're like, Putin's pretty much depleting the entire treasury. It's like he's shell gamed everything. There's not much that, according to all the things that we've been talking about, it should hit sometime late this fall. They've been telling us for like 2 years, give this, he's got the reserves and he's got these things, and then he can move some stuff around. He can like maintain a shell game for a while to maintain appearances, but at some point the bottom's going to fall out, and that should be about 2.5 to 3 years. Well, we're at 2.5 to 3 years. So And if he leaves his country like that, there's nobody that's going to be the successor that's going to keep him alive. Because he's hollowed out the country.
Yeah.
So just the people it hasn't hit the people yet because state TV and everything's controlled. And but it's going to hit at some point. Unless China is like secretly funneling lots of money. And Russia's totally a vassal state now. We just don't know it. But, I mean, look, even North Korea is getting a bit leg up on standing
Yes.
like this because now they've helped Russia. Or now they were a total pariah. Now they've helped. So now even North Korea is going to start expecting a little, North Korea, Russia, China could be interesting.
I don't know how to respond to this question here. Do you agree the Liberals and the Canadian government should stop funding the war? I didn't know they were. I honestly didn't know they were. Are they? I don't know. I don't. If they're funding the war, yeah, they should stop. If they are providing weapons or monies to the state of Israel, then they should stop because this is a zero-sum game for everybody involved.
Yep.
I don't know that they are though. This is the first I'm hearing of this, so I don't know if there's any truth to that at all.
There's sort of like Israel gets a lot of help just in ordinary times, right?
Right.
And that's being directed there. And then there's how you support for the war, funding the war can be defined precisely as, are we buying weapons or are we still doing business with businesses there that make profits that give tax money to us? So therefore we're funding, right? Depending on who's speaking, the definition of funding the wars is elastic in this, concept. We have some obligations, stuff and agreements that we've taken that we're maintaining, that we haven't cut off. That yes, these are options that we do have to put pressure, sanctions, and like this. But there are very, very long-term consequences for that too, right? Right now we have an administration, right? The Netanyahu government is not Israel. It is the current administration of Israel.
Yeah, there's nuances and subtleties there. Look, I think if we're funding the war, if we're funding Israel to continue to drop bombs on Palestinians in Gaza, then I want to see an end to that. I don't want that happening. I don't. I've said from the very outset of this, from the very, very beginning, my side is on the side of humanity.
But again, see, this is where it gets messy, right?
Yes.
Because as soon as you stop doing that, well, if Hamas comes back and fills the space, and we know Hamas wants to commit, that's what I'm saying. It's like
it's not cut and dried, is what you're saying.
Messy.
Yeah,
it is completely and totally messy.
Not black and white.
If we don't like genocide, I'm hoping that we don't like genocide, no matter who does it.
Right. Period.
Right. So we don't have one going on. There's not just one genocide happening. Right. One entity, both entities have vowed to eliminate each other. It just seems to be that one of the sides does believe that there are no rules. Well, both sides actually believe there are no rules to wars. It's just I can't even explain it.
Well, look, here, my thing has been from the very beginning, and I'm accused of saying I'm on the side of humanity as copping out. But here's the thing.
It's not.
I've said from the very beginning, I don't want this war. Does Israel have a right to defend itself? Absolutely. What happened on October 7th was a murderous, bloody campaign against civilians.
There's a proportionality to war. There's supposed to be a proportionality to war.
And there is none in this one. They responded, okay, and you're still waging war a couple of years later.
And potentially starving 2 million people.
Yes.
It's like, I'm not sure that, hey, you want to see our take on what a Holodomor is like?
Hmm.
Is a winning move. It doesn't make friends. It doesn't. I mean,
Well,
I
I saw a
I
woman
don't
yesterday.
know.
I
At some
saw a
point, it's
woman
too much.
yesterday protesting and saying what we have to do. And I'm like, what? What we have to do is put an end to their progeny.
No. Oh my God. No. 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 No.
She
No.
was not quite that polite. This is what she said, so that they can't have more children in the future. I'm like, you're asking for a Holocaust? Do you not remember what happened
We can't.
in World War II? Do you not remember? Like, lady,
Ugh.
you're wrong. like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. So that's like an. And again, I am far from a historian. I do not know all the complexities. Like far from it. It's like I'm informed, and
Mhm.
I'm nowhere near informed to have it to even believe I have the beginnings of an informed opinion. Like I said, we're looking at all the historical stuff. Right now, I'm just seeing like two groups that want to eliminate each other,
Mhm.
yes, and neither of them seeming to have any or seeing that it's probably a good idea not to. And I do not know in a situation like that when people are determined to kill each other, absolutely determined, hell bent, what you can do to stop that. Maybe there are levers. Again, I don't know all the intricacies of government. It's like, yeah, would I like it to stop? Yes. Would I like it to not fund war? Yeah, absolutely. I just, these things are messy for a reason. And it certainly doesn't help. It certainly does not help. Because that when our prime minister does take a moment or find a way, why not, to join with other world leaders and actually make a little statement that seems to, you know, reproach, say, hey, this is too far. This is unacceptable. The prime minister said this is like among a list of things that are unacceptable that
Mhm.
have been done there. I mean, which is probably the strongest statement so far. Because
Well, you know,
you know,
when you have so-called activist protesters calling for, I'm going to quote this woman. This is what she said. I'm not going to show you the clip. I'm just going to read the quote, part of it. You need to destroy their offspring to prevent them from creating more offspring.
but it doesn't help when you also have the leader of the opposition turn around and said, Hamas thanked Mark Carney for conservatives will always stand for Israel's right to defend itself. So Canadians stand for Israel's right to defend itself. That's not what we're arguing here,
Mm-hmm.
right? The question is how much too much, and is everything and anything allowed? It's it's a mess.
Oh, yes.
It's a mess. It's a terrible mess. It's, there is no see when people tell me choosing the side of humanity is a cop out, right? If governments did the thing, they just cut all funding to Israel, embargoed doing business with them, whatnot, and did the same to Hamas,
Mm-hmm.
which is already the case, right? They just did the same. What happens next? Does the killing stop?
Who knows?
Now we've all pulled ourselves out of the game and we've left them alone in a room together. What happens to the people then? It's it's not it's just never that simple. It's just never that simple.
No.
Even if like we all walk like yes, eventually they'd run out of resources. Okay, so there's no more bombs. Okay, so now we use bricks. Now there's no more bricks. Now we use sticks. Now there's no more sticks. Now we use. If you want to take each other out, you'll find a way. It'll just become more and more low tech.
It's a zero-sum game.
It's so choosing if you choose the side of humanity and if you tell both of them we're not funding either of you to doing that, have you not chosen the side of humanity?
I would think so. I
If
mean,
you only tell one side to stop, you've picked a side. But if your position is that we need to stop funding the war, both sides, isn't that the same as choosing humanity? Like to me, I don't see the difference. So that's why I say choosing humanity is not a cop-out. I just rather choose them before we get to the point that there's only 2 or 3 standing left to save.
For me, the issue I've had from the very beginning has been all of the innocents caught in the crossfire of this. They're just trying to live their lives, man.
And making sure that we make the distinction between administrations and the people.
Dan. I
like
them
French fries.
French fried potatoes. I like them with mustard. Yep. Well, I'll tell you what.
It's again, we are some of the least qualified people. It's one of the reasons why I tried to talk about this subject as little as possible in certain ways.
We're not
when there's big
qualified.
news and whatnot, because I don't know, man.
Look, and that's a fair statement. Neither one of us are really qualified to
It just
talk
seems
about
that
this at any length.
The only space that one can occupy with any dignity is the side of humanity, and even when you do that, you get told
I'm gonna
that
piss
side's a
somebody
cop
off.
out. So like, there's no way to talk about this in a way that's not going to make someone call you out as a sellout or a cop out. Even choosing the side of humanity gets you called out.
What took place on October 7th was horrific. It was terrible. It's sad. It was a tragedy. It was an act of extreme prejudice. And innocent people were killed.
It was a horror.
It was horrible.
It was an outright horror. But we're still at the point 3 years later that if you don't mention those words specifically, everything you say after doesn't get considered. Like we're still.
Oh my goodness!
Man, it's just
from Carol. We're going to switch subjects here because it's
Well, there's a reason why we call certain problems intractable.
Yes, but this is a problem. This is a serious problem. My daughter came home and her boyfriend's family put ketchup on their lasagna. What the actual F is happening out there? Do y'all need to eat at my house? You put ketchup on lasagna? Isn't that a punishable crime in Italy?
What did that lasagna
Straight to jail.
do to you?
Straight to jail.
Why would you do that to the world's most perfect food?
Straight to jail. I'm like,
oh, Nona, I'm so sorry you had to witness that or hear about that at all. That's ooh. Damn. No. Do not do that. That is not your next food challenge.
Where are the armed men who come in to take the protesters away? Where are they? This kind of behavior is never tolerated in Boracua. You shout like that, they put you in jail right away. No trial, no nothing.
Oh.
Journalists, we have a special jail for journalists. You're stealing, right to jail. You're playing music too loud, right to jail, right away. You're driving too fast, jail. Slow, jail. You're charging too high prices for sweaters, glasses, you right to jail. You undercook fish, believe it or not, jail. You overcook chicken, also jail.
Overcook.
Overcook. You make an appointment with the dentist and you don't show up, believe it or not, jail, right away. We have the best patients in the world.
Because of
Because
jail.
of jail.
You
Ketchup on
undercook
lasagna?
fish.
Ketchup on
Jail.
lasagna? Jail.
Ketchup on lasagna? Jail. Straight to jail.
Do not pass go. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, no. That's a sin.
Yeah. This
That's a sin.
that's
Do
like
not do that.
that's like Donald Trump eats his steaks well done and puts ketchup on them.
Yeah, do not do that. Do not do that. All right. So
Eat what you want to eat, how you want to eat, but don't do that in front of me ever.
yeah.
And
So,
don't even think about doing that in Italy.
Yeah.
People
So-
will lose their shit.
So back to the conservative little caucus thing.
Mm.
Quebec conservative MP Gérard Deltel, that guy we told you about
Mhm.
that said, "Hey, I could help," that they said, "No, you just shut up and keep quiet." All of a sudden, he's allowed to talk again because they lost. So I guess they're trying something different. He was asked on the way into caucus on Sunday if the Conservatives would support the tax cut in the House of Commons, given the measure is similar to a promise made by Poilièvre during the campaign. Well, not really now anymore, now is it? Based on that costing. Right? Because when Pierre announced it, his was going to be, well, apparently he announced it as 15%, which was really 2.25%, which was really 1.125% in the first year. But when the costing came up, it was almost non-existent. So all of a sudden, Mark Carney had the bigger tax cut. His was bigger than yours, PP.
Mine's bigger.
All of a sudden. So, we are not opposed to any reduction of tax, Deltel said, but he added the Conservatives will want to see more on the legislation before announcing any support. We're not opposed to any reduction of tax, Deltel said. Well, yeah, you are, because you removed it from your platform in year one, pretty much. You were kind of opposed to it when you put out your custom platform. Just saying. Oh, what a bunch of losers these guys. Oh, my God. So, on the Liberal side, when they had their caucus meeting, well, the big issue there was the Reform Act, which is Michael Chong's bill that allows various powers, including the power to provoke a leadership review if 20% of the caucus votes for that. And there has been a lot more chatter than usual about doing that. In the Liberal caucus, there was an article that appeared in the Toronto Star on May 20th called "Liberal MPs Say They Like Mark Carney, but Still Want the Power to Dump Them. Scarred by their battle to oust former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau last year, some Liberal MPs want to adopt, for the first time, parliamentary powers that would allow them to turf their new leader." So the bill passed, that's a law, but each party at the opening of a new session has to vote on whether or not they want to bring those powers within the caucus to them. Right? So you had quotes like, "It's about restoring power to caucus. We've done a hard reset within the Liberal Party. There is renewal," said a Liberal MP who favors adopting the act. No name. "It's the only measure that helps to restrain the nearly unfettered power of a Prime Minister and his office," said another MP, adding that Carney should give his MPs the green light to adopt it. That would serve as, quote, "yet another demonstration of how different he is from Justin Trudeau," the MP said, stating that such a move would show that Carney, quote, "respects caucus and welcomes scrutiny." Nate Erskine Smith, who is willing to have his name up, said
The
that
only one.
he has always supported the act and will continue to do so. So for him, it's consistent, but it's, again,
Yes.
for anybody who was hoping that maybe Nate would come back in the next cabinet shuffle. That might not, but hey, he's being true to himself. Like this, and you got to respect that. But that might not help with that. Might not help. Then again, it could. Again, because there's these other articles going on, saying because Mark Carney is so driven and punctual and wants stuff done on time, don't be surprised if there's a shuffle within 8 months when he already determines that few people are not performing. Because he's not going to give people a lot of time. So some people are suggesting that, again, we do not know him enough to know whether or not that is indeed the case, but that some of the chatter going on. So people, the people that he's picked have to perform and have to learn to perform quickly, or else some of them might not be gone because he's very results driven. And a little impatient.
Well, can we give the man a chance to actually,
Exactly.
hold the job for a little while? Like he just got here. The
I know.
Parliament reconvenes today.
I know.
Parliament has not sat
I know.
in 2025.
That's what I'm saying. These articles, it's like he's not even sitting there like this. Well, some of you may be gone in 8 months. Some of the articles, there was another one, Althea Raj, showing him having meetings with something, and I think there was like one woman in the meeting, like one-on-one to various people. Goes, well, there goes the feeling, and he pretends that it's not a bro club. It's just like,
hi, Lola.
It's like, really, dude. It's like, let something happen before we start taking him down.
Yeah, I mean, come on. The man hasn't had a chance to do anything good or bad yet. And actually, let me rephrase it. He's actually done quite a bit considering he's not even assumed the position yet. He's not sat down yet. Come here.
Yeah.
Come here.
So, yeah. So that was the kind of talk that was going on. But, hey, the whole thing happened. They had their caucus meeting, and it is a secret ballot, so we do not know what the vote was. But the results of we don't know who voted how, I should say. But the result is that ultimately the Liberal MPs voted against adopting the formal process to eject their leader. So even though there was more chatter than usual, ultimately the majority of caucus voted down the motion to adopt the rules set out under the decade-old Reform Act. Let's see, who's talking? Liberal caucus chair James Maloney refused to say something more about the vote or the secret deliberations, insisting that all should remain private. Quote, the Reform Act was voted down. What happens in caucus stays in caucus, and you're going to hear me say that today and tomorrow and every day going forward. The internal debate was prompted by Liberal MPs who were frustrated former leader Justin Trudeau was able to remain at the helm despite numerous calls from within caucus to step aside. Adopting the Reform Act rules would have given Liberal MPs a roadmap for such situations. That's how the Conservatives ousted Erin O'Toole from the leadership after the Conservatives lost the 2021 election, because the Conservatives have always voted to bring those powers in regardless. So just as it would have been the case that if the Liberals voted to bring it in this time would not have necessarily meant that they're trying to get rid of Mark Carney, the fact that the Conservatives voted in again this time does not necessarily mean that they plan to get rid of Poilièvre.
Well, with the MP, Ryan Turnbull said he planned to support adopting the rules because, quote, it's important to have caucus accountability in every party. But Sault Ste. Marie Algoma MP Terry Sheehan said he doesn't see the need for the new rules, which his party has never adopted. So,
yep. And then he said, but you can read his quote if you want.
It's important. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, right below.
I've come in with a preset mind that I will not be supporting the Reform Act because we don't need to. Our caucus is strong. Behind those doors right there, that's our caucus, and we can let our hair down anytime and have a frank and open discussions. Interesting take. I'm not opposed to this idea, to be honest with you.
Yeah, neither am I.
I'm not opposed to it. I think it seems to make sense to me that, if the caucus loses support or faith or whatever have you, they should be a way to recall the leader.
Yep.
And they don't have that mechanism right now. So,
well, I mean, they have the mechanism, but I think it has to be a much bigger caucus vote, right?
That's the thing.
This one is 20% of members being frustrated can prompt a leadership vote.
Right.
Because, I mean, I don't think that there's a reform. Well, I'm not sure there was a Reform Act at the time that the Conservatives in Alberta got rid of Alison Redford. Right, Thomas Mulcair, there was no Reform Act like this. Just his leadership review came, and the NDP dumped him. So you don't necessarily need one, because there are powers within the Westminster party system to depose your leader if you want to. It's just a much higher bar. This one is the bar is still the same. I guess you have to have a caucus vote, and it has to be a majority caucus vote. But I guess in the normal one, you would have to have a majority vote from caucus to actually prompt the vote in the first place. So if the majority voted for it, odds are that the leader is going to go, right? Just the fact that they vote to have the vote would be the sign, okay, it's inevitable, I got to go. Here, only 20% of the caucus can provoke that vote under this rule. So it is then possible that you have a disgruntled group that wants someone to go, but the majority caucus does still want the leader to stay. So in this case, having it does it make it easier to have some accountability, but also makes it easier to have some public media spats. possibility of not keeping the dirty laundry in the family a lot sooner or easier, because all you need is for 20% to be frustrated rather than more than 50%. Because usually if you don't have more than 50%, sometimes even if there's any chatter, it's all off the record, people that do not want to be identified for the most part at that point. And a lot of people talk like this, but the vote never happens because they don't want to risk their career if they don't know for sure. Right? So there's lots of talking and negotiating and dealing behind the room. So behind the scenes, they're all talking to each other. And if they're counting the votes and they don't feel they have the votes, well, why would they start to agitate? Yes. But in this one, if 20% enough are agitated, then you can make that an option. And then once you get people starting to think about it, well, maybe you can convince a few more. Mark Carney talked a little bit before or during the meeting, and he said, because there was a portion of it that was open to the public as well. And he said that from dealing with a chaotic White House to building up the economy, quote, "Our government has been elected to do nothing less than define a new economic and security relationship with the United States. Canadians also want their life to become more affordable. They want their communities safer. We will deliver these mandates with urgency and determination. We are going to get going from minute one." And again, if you're listening to that quote, you see that Mark Carney is taking the reason for which he was elected and the reason he suspects a lot of people voted conservative, affordability and safer communities, put them together, said, this is what we're going to do. So this is a plan, if he's able to execute it, that come next election, whenever it would be, that the Liberals would maintain the vote that they have now, because Trump would still be there, especially if it's an early vote. We don't do the full 4 years. And maybe we'll have drawn 3, 4, 5% from the Conservatives by doing some affordability stuff and some action on crime that some people have been asking for. It's a clever strategy. See if it works.
I have a very loud doggy who needs to go, so I'm going to have to cut out a little bit early today because she, when she whines like this, it's because she needs to go to the toilet. So I will take my lovely doggo out for a walk because she desperately needs to relieve herself. So thanks for joining today, folks. I'm far from 100% because I'm still a little tired and groggy, but that, it's better to show up than not show up at all, right? So until tomorrow, and I endeavor to do an ASMR this evening. I endeavor to. Hopefully my head will be in a good space to do it. So if you want to join at 9 o'clock, you'll see a link on my YouTube channel if I'm up to it. And if not, I apologize in advance that if I'm not capable, I'm simply not going to be able to. But between now and then, you have yourselves.
All right. Thank you, my friend. Saw some comments as well, because there's been some talk about that, Parliament working throughout the summer to get stuff like this, and Parliament should. Let's live in the world that is, the world of is, rather than the world of should, because Parliament doesn't do that. It's like we've seen a pattern, particularly from the Conservatives, who again are vowing we're going to work all summer, we're going to work all throughout Christmas. They say this almost every time, and then find a way to get through everything on the order paper 2 or 3 days earlier than was planned, and then vote to end the session early. So if there's anybody out there hearing ReRun Poilièvre saying, we'll walk our summer, don't believe it. He said this many times before. He never follows through. Heck, on the night of his big vote-a-thon, he himself skipped Parliament. He had all his MPs and whatnot stay and do the work while he went off to a fundraiser. So it's like he is not the guy that's going to keep Parliament going throughout the summer. There's absolutely no evidence of that. If you put your stock in him to do that, or if you believe him when he says that, listen, we got some oceanfront property for you on the north coast of Saskatchewan. This particular leader has a proven track record of not doing that. That's not going to happen. You're only setting yourself up for disappointment, right? Don't put any belief in that. Oh boy. All right, kits and cubs, other stuff that is going on for you. So we have all of that. The first order of business is to select the Speaker of the House. So the Speaker of the House is also voted on with a preferential ballot. And it seems that this year there are 8 candidates. This morning I heard on the radio 7, so I don't know if somebody dropped out at the last second, whatnot. But as far as I know, there were 8. I'm going to see there's a Canadian Press article that's a little more recent, and maybe we'll find out more. But okay, the names that I have on the list are 6 Liberals and 2 Conservatives: Sean Casey, Chris D'Entremont, Greg Fergus, Alexandra Mendez, John Nader, Rob Oliphant, Sherry Romanato, Francis Scarpalagia. I've heard of all of these except for John Nader. I believe Chris D'Entremont was there is the speaker, and then there are some alternates because the speaker could always be there. So Chris D'Entremont is one of those. Greg Fergus, who was the speaker last time, put his hat back in the ring. Alexandra Mendez was one of the people when it was coming time to talk about getting rid of Justin Trudeau, was publicly saying that he should go, but saying that this is what my constituents are telling me at the door, rather than pushing it hard for, let's say, herself. I think near the end, though, she started being more vocal that also she thought it was the case too, not just her constituents, but made a bit of a name for herself during that period. Rob Oliphant, veteran MP. Sherry Romanato, heard about her a little bit. She did some committee work that was pretty decent, and we talked about it on the show a little bit. And Francis Scarpalagia, again, a well-known name for those of us who follow politics. I think he's been in politics in many different levels, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just going to take a quick look there, because I think he is not sure if he's newly elected to the House of Commons this time around. Yeah. Oh, no, not longtime MP, sorry, 2004. So yeah, he's been there before. So he's done some community work and stuff like that. And you would have heard his name, definitely, if you've been following politics. So yeah, he's been, if you've been interested in issues having to do with freshwater protection, bills to ban bulk water exports, that type of stuff. You would have heard of him if that's your interest, and he really does hold a reputation as a very dedicated constituency representative. So just someone that is would probably be probably could be decent in this role. Everybody's wondering about Elizabeth May because it seemed very, very obvious that Elizabeth May would have been a candidate. She had expressed interest, but said that she backed out of the running since she is the only Green MP in Parliament, and the nonpartisan speaker would limit what she can weigh on. So she decided that was it was in the best interest of the party for her to be sitting as an MP than the best interest of herself, say, to be sitting as the speaker. The job has some perks. It comes with a diplomatic component and some some benefits, like a $309,000 annual salary, a driver, a sizable hospitality budget, and official residence on a rustic country estate in Gatineau Park. So there we go. Which is kind of interesting, actually, when you think about Andrew Scheer, because when all the time that he was speaker, he had government provided housing, and well, I mean, he should be occupying Stornoway, but I guess he's not this time. Oh, man. Interesting. So, yeah, Elizabeth May took herself out of the running. And this one here again says Speaker Liberal Greg Fergus will face off against a half dozen contenders. So somebody on that list that I have has dropped off, I'm guessing, because on the list that I have is 8. And now reports are that 7. But I do not know who it is that has dropped off. When the vote for speaker takes place, then House will be able to open tomorrow, I believe. The House has not yet sat in 2025. It's been about 6 months. I'm not sure if the votes for speaker take place in the House or take place in another chamber. So that's I don't actually know that. The process started as early as 8 a.m. I was told that it was a preferential secret ballot. So I'm guessing that there are rounds until someone gets 50%, if I'm understanding that correctly. So the process starts at 8 a.m. I don't know when exactly we will find out. We have a speaker, but it will be sometime today, that's for sure. When the House reopens, the House will have not sat at all in 2025 yet, and will have been about 6 months since I guess it rised? I'm not sure if that's the proper word. But since Parliament was prorogued. That, at least I know, is precise as a term. But yes, it will come back. And of course, it will come back with the speech from the throne. As we mentioned, the king and the queen consort will be here for a very rapid 2-day visit at the request of the prime minister. There are some American officials, and I wish I had snapped the article. I just saw a headline go by at one point that were thinking, saying something like, well, you didn't have to call the king to go and talk about sovereignty. It's like, yeah, dude, we did actually. So you don't cry now. So it's because you guys did what you did that we needed to do what we did. We needed to do what we're doing because we haven't. It's. I hate to put this image crudely because we were talking about a royal family, but basically, King Charles III is coming here to mark territory all along that allegedly straight line that was made with a ruler all across the bottom. Right? So silly. But basically, that's what he's coming to do. He's coming to mark territory. And that would not have been necessary had you not been running your mouth. So don't come back and go, oh, you didn't have to do that. Yeah, we did. We actually did. But hey, Trump apparently likes royalty. So we know that he will be listening. Now, this is the first time since 1977 that a monarch has delivered the speech from the throne. But then again, at that time, it was Queen Elizabeth. This will be the first time it will be delivered in Canada by a king ever. Mm. Back in 1977, interesting parallel, saw on a political show that somebody mentioned. I think it was Tim Power, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be remembering that incorrectly, said that the last time the monarch delivered a speech from the throne back in 1977, well, it was immediately after an election that generated a somewhat controversial result with a minority parliament and a new prime minister. My, how history rhymes. Now, a couple of days before coming, King Charles III also celebrated the 100th anniversary of Canada House in London. Canada's High Commissioner to the UK, Ralph Goodale, whose term ends on Canada Day, was in attendance. This will be the King's 20th visit to Canada, but the first as the reigning monarch. And the King and the Queen consorts won't be their first visit together. They had been here about 3 years ago. Now, the interesting that everybody is going to be watching for is that there does exist in the speech from the throne the prerogative for the reigning sovereign, in this case, or whoever's delivering it at this time before the Governor General, to place a few words of their own into the speech. Usually it's done at the beginning. They sit and, they welcome everybody in and, do a sort of opening statement, and that place that creates some type of context in which this speech is going to be delivered. And often it's personal to them in some ways. A lot of people commented, for example, when Judy Payette read the speech from the throne, that she opened by talking a little bit about space and whatnot, and and I guess when we talk about space, we talk about looking to the future and all that type of stuff, and then being able to put into a context. So the speech from the throne is always flowery. You always have the same thing. Oh, it wasn't tough on detail. Well, of course, because it never is. So again, if you hear the conservative saying, "But we want details," again, they're just wasting your time. That's the boilerplate thing. You're not going to get tons of detail in the speech from the throne. Actually, in this speech from the throne, you're probably going to get more detail than a lot more. Just because of who is the the prime minister's pragmatic style and being somewhat efficient with words. But this is a more flowery type and aspirational and just laying out the broad outlines. So specificity, if you get any, is a bonus in this case, and not an expectation. So yeah, it's for those who are interested in seeing them, if you're going to be in the National Capital Region, there are going to be a couple of opportunities. They will attend a public event in downtown Ottawa, and there will be a horse-drawn carriage ride through the downtown as they head to the Senate building, and I believe that that's today. And lastly, they will stop at the National War Memorial to pay their respects. Gérard Giroir, who's with Canada's Privy Council, has said they want to meet people, they want to have conversations, and people should go out and they should enjoy. Don't be nervous, enjoy the day, is what he recommends for those who would like to do a little royal watching today. I'm not sure about the rest of the itinerary, probably will know more. I'm sure a lot of it has been out public, I just haven't stumbled upon it yet. But today is relatively light, but they get off the plane and basically start at it right away. So there's a private area at the Ottawa airport for the dignitaries, whatnot, to arrive, where they go through their own customs in their own way, like this, and it's safe and it's secure, and then they're basically whisked right down for that public appearance, then the horse-drawn carriage ride, then the paying the respects, and for maybe that part of it will all be done by like 4:30 or 5 o'clock Eastern time today, and the rest of the evening will be that we know of, at least. If there's more planned that I don't know at the moment, but I could also see them wanting to rest a little more after the trip and whatnot, that to be prepared for speech from the throne, and then have more activities tomorrow after the speech from the throne before they leave. King Charles seems to care. Well, we know that he has a track record of very much caring for the environment, so it wouldn't be surprising if there was something related to that he manages to fit in, either into the speech or into his activities. He also seems to be very seized by the Indigenous issue and the relationship between the Crown and Canada's Indigenous communities. So there is a possibility that there's a type of event involving the community in that sense, or remarks with regard to that as well. And I assume that there will be some type of very, very subtle remark. It's not going to be a slap across the face, but it's going to make it very clear that this is my turf. So maybe some comments about the strength of the Commonwealth or something like that. That will be a subtle hands off. This is my turf. So, like I said, we'll see what there is, but it should be an interesting day for those who like that. There's always a little bit of pomp and pageantry and ceremony, and it's not something that we tend to have a lot of in Canada naturally. So I know, like, there's a bread and circuses element to it. Absolutely. No doubt. No doubt whatsoever. Right. But then again, like I said, it's one of the very few times that we get to have a little bit of that. So for those who do like that and the opportunity to look official and have the eyes of the world basically on you, this will be an opportunity for it. Stephen McKinnon, who is the House leader in Parliament for the House leader for the Liberals, was on Power and Politics the other day, and had a few things to say about that. Hold on, I'm sorry. Something's in my way what I need to click on, and I can't see what I'm doing. There we go. So talking about the visit coming, he said, and the speech from the throne and all of that, Rosemary Barton asked if it was important that how important this is with all the symbolism and whatnot and the history that it entails. And he said, I think it's significant, and I think Canadians should not underestimate its significance. I know the King I don't know what the king is going to say, but I have no doubt that he will want to send his own personal message to Canadians. And in return, I think what we're doing is recognizing our parliamentary system. And we're recognizing our roots in the British Isles and, of course, France, and always in respect of Indigenous peoples. And so we're going to enjoy that day, and it will be one for the history books. And then Rosemary Barton asked, well, if he, you know, it's written by the Prime Minister's office and it's delivered, but how much do you think the message is not going to be about the government's agenda, but also about Canada and its sovereignty, right? Because of the topic coming up. And he says, the speech of the throne does not need to, I love this, McKinnon says, the speech of the throne does not to be, sorry, pardon me. Sorry, choked a little bit. Sorry. Thank you. I said, well, the government doesn't need a throne speech to be unambiguous about that. And we will continue to be unambiguous about Canada's sovereignty. Canada's destiny will be chosen by Canadians through Canadian institutions like the great institution that is the Parliament of Canada. And having all of those things come together with all of the ceremony in the institutions of our Parliament, I think is a day that Canadians will remember. So, again, it's very high level, flowery talk, but if you listen, there are some subtle messages being sent in there. So, him feeling rather certain that the sovereign will want to include some words about that, not knowing what they will be, of course, not being privy to them. So clearly word has gotten out that we should probably expect something, that there will be some type of reference. So yeah, should be interesting. As we mentioned a little bit before, Kits and Cubs, when we're talking about Premier Mark Carney, Prime Minister Mark Carney. Ooh, I just demoted him. Yee. In terms of his style and everything, there was an interesting article by Christopher Nardi that appeared in the National Post about that. I'd like to read a portion of it to you because, yeah, it does seem that he does run a tight ship here. Days after the federal election, Prime Minister Mark Carney stepped into the National Press Theatre and did something Canadians hadn't seen in nearly 10 years under Justin Trudeau. He started the press conference virtually on time. That's how you know it's a National Post article. It has to have the requisite take on Justin Trudeau, even though he's already gone for a while now. Carney's punctuality was a stark contrast with Trudeau, who would frequently start events 30 to 60 minutes later than planned. It's also one of many emerging differences in how the former central banker runs his office, cabinet, and caucus compared with his predecessor. National Post spoke with a half a dozen current and former PMO officials, senior bureaucrats, and caucus members. All were granted anonymity to discuss internal workings of government openly. They described Carney as extremely focused on delivering an ambitious agenda of reshaping the Canadian economy in the era of U.S. Donald Trump. He is fiercely punctual, runs a tight ship during meetings, and is decisive, all marked differences from his predecessor. Gone is the indecision that marred Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's office, with important decisions documents often sitting weeks or months on the desk of Chief of Staff Katie Telford. Some bottlenecks still exist, but they are more the product of an understaffed PMO's office serving a political neophyte. Quote, decision-making is not a problem, said one senior government official describing Carney as, quote, task-focused, and for whom results mattered. Quote, he does not suffer fools, the official added, a common refrain among all sources. Carney, 60, also cares deeply about professionalism in his office. Staff are expected to dress in formal business attire and documents are to be written using British spelling, for example. But the Prime Minister is always bearing the signs, but the Prime Minister is already bearing the signs of a potential micromanager, wanting to review or rework documents or communications products that should be well below the purview of a Prime Minister. Again, that's how we know it's a National Post article. He's also short on patience and highly demanding of his advisors, senior bureaucrats, and cabinet let's try that again. He is also short on patience and highly demanding of his advisors, senior bureaucrats, and cabinet members, while not afraid of calling out underperforming members of his entourage. Whereas there was a sense among Trudeau's entourage in office that he would give people, quote, multiple kicks at the can if they provided a subpar briefing or weren't on the top of their files, sources say Carney is not so patient. Get it right the first time or risk not being called on for that topic again. Carney filled half of his 28-member cabinet with new faces last week, but all the sources say no one's job, not even veteran ministers, is safe. If ministers don't perform to Carney's expectations or fail to find ways to deliver on their mandates quickly, they may not last the year at the table. Quote, Carney will call out ministers if needed, said one former Liberal who said, my God, I'm having trouble today, said one senior former Liberal who worked in both the Trudeau and Carney governments. Quote, and he will probably call them personally to do it. Trudeau never called his ministers. One Liberal MP even theorized that there could be a cabinet shuffle in less than 1 year. Quote, this guy will not have patience, and that's the thing. That's why we think there will be a shuffle at some point in the next 8 months or something. Not within the next 8 months, but like in 8 months' time or something like that. Less than a year, a Liberal MP said. If you're that ambitious as a leader, you're not going to have a lot of time for people who are failing at their files. He's going to find replacements, you would think. But let's see, the MP added. As a new politician, sources say Carney is not yet fully aware of what he needs and doesn't need to know. The result is that he will ask to read documents that the Prime Minister shouldn't need to review or generate an abundance of back and forths demanding staff rewrite briefing notes to his liking, two sources detailed. Quote, he's too deep into details already, said the former Liberal staffer, adding they were frequently surprised by some of the material Carney demanded to see. Former Liberal staffer. To say. And probably at the beginning, like right after and going into an election campaign, you probably do want to read more and go a little deeper than you usually would than if you were just running stuff. So I don't see this as particularly abnormal. His learning curve was rather steep. So having the high level briefing without maybe so much of the, what went into that decision so that he could talk about it with authority, in this case may not have been a bad thing. I would have erred on more information than less. Another concern among Liberals is that days before the House of Commons is set to resume, Carney's office is still surprisingly understaffed. The Prime Minister has still not confirmed who will be his permanent Chief of Staff after temporarily appointing former Cabinet Minister Marco Mendicino to the position back in March. Thursday evening, Carney announced that Mendicino had extended his term into the summer to, quote, lead the transition of the PMO on my behalf. The Chief of Staff oversees staffing through the PMO, but also has a heavy hand in selecting ministers' chiefs, who then have to fill all the vacancies in their minister's office. Most of those decisions have been on hold while Carney decided who would be his top aide. It's not unusual that the PMO and ministers' offices aren't fully staffed less than 1 month after a new prime minister is elected, but all the sources said it becomes problematic when the new prime minister wants to move at near record speed, forming cabinet within 2 weeks and recalling parliament within 4. Multiple sources described the state of PMO as a, quote, shit show. Again, already starting to cut. As key staff who worked with Carney before and during the election wait to see which job they will be offered during this parliament. They point to the lack of clear leadership at PMO as explanation, quote, for the disastrous first outing of Carney's cabinet on May 18th, when numerous ministers made controversial or headline-generating statements. One senior government official said that the issues at PMO mean that the decisions are being made, but implementing them can be difficult. Quote, the PMO is not even settled yet, so they're figuring stuff out and how to do stuff, but they are quick on decisions and on recognizing the decisions that need to be made. And so the corollary on that is that once a decision is made, they expect action to be taken, which could be a challenge, said the veteran official. Another key challenge is Parliament. Many Liberals feel that Carney doesn't fully grasp the challenges of leading a minority government through a fractured House of Commons and a Senate without a Liberal caucus. Without a clear majority, a governing party must negotiate with opposition MPs to get their bills through both the House and Commons and committees. If it fails to do so, effective opposition parties can take over the agenda of the Commons or some committees or both and stonewall the government's legislative agenda. Sources point to the scars of last fall's parliamentary session. Shortly after then, NDP Jagmeet Singh. We'll try this. I'm having trouble. I'm really tripping over my tongue today. Sources point to the scars of last fall's parliamentary sessions. Shortly after, then NDP leader Jagmeet Singh ripped up his supply and confidence agreement with Trudeau last summer. The minority Liberals totally lost control of the House of Commons. From September until prorogation in January, the Liberals were virtually unable to pass any legislation because the House of Commons was dominated by opposition-led privileged debates. At the same time, opposition parties were able to seize the agenda of multiple committees to launch studies into embarrassing topics for the Liberals. And again, this is how you know it's a National Post article, because the House of Commons was dominated by Conservative Party of Canada led parliamentary privilege debates, not just opposition, as in general opposition parties. Interesting that they're not willing to give the party credit by name when they're talking about holding up Parliament. Interesting. Senior Liberals say if Carney, who frequently boasts of being a newbie politician, doesn't surround himself with Commons connoisseurs, his agenda risks being derailed the same way. They say that recent comments by Carney suggest to him that he doesn't fully grasp the challenge at hand, and his party sits 2 seats shy of a majority in the House of Commons. I think it's 3 now, but at the time of writing. Quote, "We received more votes than anyone else in any election," Carney told reporters last week when asked if he expects to govern like he heads a majority government. Quote, "We're governing for all Canadians, all regions, with a strong and clear mandate that came out of the election, and that's how we will govern." So, yes, this is, as we mentioned, Christopher Nardi, with help from files by Catherine Lévesque, to give proper credit to the journalists here on this one. But yes, as you can see, bold, effective style, doesn't suffer fools, very results focused. Could, yes, the downside of that could lead to some micromanagement, that type of stuff. Again, not sure if that's necessarily a pattern. There doesn't seem to be, in all the profiles that we're reading before the election when they were talking about him, the effective manager and the not suffering fools lightly and come prepared. That was kind of known. There was no talk of that particular negative aspect about him being a micromanager. So, like I said, that's what makes me believe that it might have just been a case of context just coming in and wanting to, devour as much information, especially if he's a man who likes to be prepared and likes to know his files and expects you to come to the meeting too and knows if you're not. I'm guessing that this is a person that has an ability to consume a good amount of information in a relative short period of time and have a rather significant ease with to synthesize this information and then being able to reformulate it in a way that fits his particular vocabulary and delivery style and management style and that type of stuff. So wouldn't be surprised. And those skills don't surprise me from somebody who's like very high functioning, very high powered, very successful corporate executive and very, very senior public servant. That part doesn't surprise me at all. You kind of have to have those skills. So, yeah, I can see, and he was a former public servant, so he understands the value of sometimes having to go down and dig deeper than just the top level briefing note. So, like I said, the micromanagement stuff we'll see eventually over time whether or not that is the thing, but there doesn't that seems to be a new comment in terms of profiles that I've read from him. So again, that's what leads me to think that in this case it might be situational rather than a specific character trait, or at least something that indicates a different character trait, not that of being micromanaging, but want to make sure that he is well prepared to take the questions, especially when he's entering a new arena. That would be my take at the moment, but that's something that only time can tell. We're going to see over the course of a year, the times that he has good days and the time he has bad days, and over the second year, we're going to find out which one of these things that happens when he has a bad day are actually patterns. Like, is he actually impatient? Does he actually get short, or are they just like blips? Because everybody has a bad day or an off day, right? So we talked about conservatives and we talked about liberals a lot. Still got to talk a little bit about the NDP here. Oh my, the sun is coming in a very interesting way. I'm very, very red. Wow. I'll see if I can fix that light a little bit there. No, not at all. Okay. Wow, I'm so sorry, kids. That's the sun is literally right in the corner of the window, shining really right down on my face. So that's why you're getting this weird light effect that looks like I'm broadcasting from the shadows right now. I just caught a glimpse of myself because right now I was reading from notes. It's like, ooh, the sun has moved. It's actually a groovy effect, but it's not the one I'm going for. But hey, that's okay. That's what being live is like. All right, kids and cubs, talking about the NDP a little bit here. Um, as we mentioned, there was a little bit of controversy going in within the party with regard to the manner in which um, the interim leader was chosen. It seems that there are certain members that are not very happy. Now, there's only 7 members of the NDP. So, right, you'd think it wouldn't be that difficult to organize a vote to choose who the interim leader would be. But according to Ian Bailey of the Globe and Mail, um, 3 of the 7 members of the federal NDP caucus say they were not properly consulted about the appointment of the party's interim leader. Last week, the NDP announced that its national council had chosen Don Davies, a veteran MP from Vancouver and the party's former finance critic, to temporarily lead the NDP, a decision made with input from its parliamentary caucus. In a sharply critical letter written to the NDP's executive and council days after Mr. Davies' appointment and obtained by the Globe and Mail, the 3 MPs say the caucus did not have an opportunity to discuss or embark on a process to select the interim leader. Now, this is the part that I find a little interesting. The signatories of the letter are Winnipeg Centre MP Leah Gazan, Nunavut MP Laurie Idlot, and Vancouver East MP Jenny Kwan. All 3 were re-elected in last month's federal election. I'm noticing that there are 3 women. I am noticing that there are 3 visible minorities, and 2 of the 3 happen to be Indigenous. I'm not sure if there's a reason these 3 people particularly, if this is related to the reason for which they feel they have not been properly consulted in the choice of who the interim leader will be. But I found it very, very odd when I saw the picture appear on the screen and who were the 3 that had a problem with that, and that they had seemed to have something in common. The other kids and cubs, and I'm going to put this up on screen for you, just so we have it. These are the 7 members of the NDP. I don't know if you noticed something. The 3 that do not seem to have been consulted satisfactorily are the only 3 of the 7 who are not Caucasian. Again, have nothing to go on to say that this might be an issue, but the 4 people who seem to be happy with the decision are distinctly different from the 3 who do not. And I've seen some interviews with Heather McPherson, and when asked about this, said, well, there was a process and the process was followed, and just seemed to move on and didn't seem to be particularly concerned that there were 3 people in the party that were not happy with it. And there doesn't seem to be any concern with wanting to try to find a way to make that right, from what I can tell. So, yeah, a little disturbing. Quote, It is clear to us that the path the party and the majority of caucus have chosen to take going forward mimics the practices that have led to the worst electoral outcome for the NDP in decades. They wrote in the May 10th letter. That's the three that felt left out. In last month's vote, the NDP was reduced from 24 seats to 7. The parties were showing in its 64-year history. The NDP lost the parliamentary resources that come with official party status, which requires 12 seats. Party leader Jagmeet Singh, who lost his Vancouver area seat, announced on election night that he would resign as leader once the party had picked an interim replacement. In the letter, the MPs say efforts to have a discussion on who the interim leader should be were rebuffed by the other 4 members of caucus, along with attempts to have the party clearly provide a timeline and process in the selection of the interim leader. Quote, this includes failing to have MPs declare their interest to seek the interim leader position at caucus, an opportunity for them to share their vision about how they would lead caucus and the process we would adhere to in the rebuilding of our party, they wrote. So it seems they didn't even have an opportunity to say, we would be interested in being interim leader if there's going to be a vote. Yeah, that's not good. The trio of MPs say questions regarding the process and timeline for the decision went unanswered before the decision was made. They also say they thought it was important that the NDP executive and council had necessary information that included affording interesting parties an opportunity to offer their leadership candidacy and share their vision. Quote, it is very unfortunate that this did not happen, they wrote. I would have used a word other than unfortunate. They're being very diplomatic here. After the appointment of Mr. Davies, the party now faces the challenge of finding a permanent leader to replace Mr. Singh, with a leadership race expected in the coming months. Quote, given the critically challenging journey ahead of us to maintain solidarity and rebuild the movement, it is absolutely essential that we protect democratic principles and maintain integrity in the rebuilding of our party going forward. Principles we feel were not always adhered to by those who in leadership roles in the last parliament, the others wrote. But you didn't consider nearly half of your caucus in choosing your interim leader? But it is absolutely essential that we protect democratic principles and maintain integrity in rebuilding our party going forward. Okay. They did not elaborate on their concerns about the last parliament in the letter. Ms. Gazan, Ms. Idlut, and Ms. Kwan have not responded to requests for comment from the Globe. Lucy Watson, the NDP national director, said in a statement that the party's constitution gives the federal council, the party's governing body between conventions, the exclusive authority to appoint an interim leader. Quote, the process was followed to the letter, she said, referring to the appointment of Mr. Davies. Quote, our caucus members bring a variety of experiences and histories to the table and are united in an understanding of an urgent need to reconnect with working people and renew our commitment to deliver for people across the country. Beyond Mr. Davies and the 3 MPs involved with the letter, the other members of the party's caucus, as we mentioned, are Gordon Johns representing Courtney Alberni, Heather McPherson representing Edmonton Strathcona, and Alexandre Boulrisque representing Montreal area of riding of Rosemont, La Petite Patrie. Yeah, I'm not impressed. Not impressed at all. Government House Leader Steve McKinnon, when asked about granting the party status, quote, said, party status is probably something that's not on the table. That's set out in law. 12 seats are required. When pressed by Rosemary Barton with the suggestion that the threshold could be changed legislatively, McKinnon appeared to indicate that the party was not willing to spend political capital on that fight, given the minority parliament situation. However, with the NDP votes alone, the party would have enough if it wanted to. So, not particularly interested in doing that. So there you go. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Other tiny little thing. Hopefully, I can find it for you in time. But it would seem that somebody noticed that Andrew Scheer, who is the interim leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, got himself a bit of a makeover. Another Jenny Byrne makeover. And it's kind of interesting because Andrew's Jenny Byrne makeover for becoming interim leader very, very, very similarly looks like the one that was given to Pierre Poilièvre, which is kind of interesting. But if you look here, kits and cubs, you can see that we have both of these gentlemen, and you will realize that with Pierre, of course, they made him take off the glasses in his makeover. With Andrew, they had them put them on. But you will notice that it seems to be exactly the same blazer, and it seems to be the black t-shirt. So I'm not sure if that's the uniform going on. But again, if we're talking about change, at t.resident, recommended follow. Breaking, Andrew Scheer picks up Pierre Poilièvre's dry cleaning. My word. The party of originality. The party of learning, the party of growing, the party of change. All that good stuff. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I tell you. My God. That sun is really doing a number on me today. Huh. It's kind of groovy though. All right. Kit Ladam, I wasn't sure if that picture was real. Oh my God. Yes, Kit PNC Bio, talking about boardrooms here. The most impressive boardrooms I was ever in were the most diverse ones, and those were the ones at the biggest companies, especially financial institutions. Oh, well, there you go. Interesting. Thank you for that insight. Really appreciate it. All right. So I think that's pretty much all I've got for you today, kids and cubs. There's a couple of other stuff, but nothing that's too urgent at the moment. And we are closing in on 2 hours. So let's say that we're calling it a show. That's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. We really appreciate it when you do. Now, if you would like to make sure you do not miss an episode, especially if you are a Canadian who seeks to be engaged and you are on the go because you are busy, 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 well, hey, we got you covered because we are portable. Not only do we have a video cast, but we have an actual audio cast for you. So you can't sit by your computer or your screen or your phone and actually watch us. Well, you can just put us in your ears. Scan that QR code made possible by the Ray Girl, and that will bring you to our pod page, podpage.com/the truenortheagerbeaver with a hyphen between each one of those words. And when you click subscribe there, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, comes right to you. Yes, and it won't be affected by the Canada Post strike, which we hope does not happen. But it looks like it is. Darn. Now, if you would like to help us in yet other ways, kids and cubs, grab your surfboard and hang a little 10 down to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page where Kits, Cassie, and Elaine are beckoning you to play with our buttons. Like, share, and subscribe. And remember, if you're watching live, if you smash now, you don't have to remember to do it before you leave. So come and smash with us. It's fun. Thank you so much for your support. And if you would like to help us in other ways, kids and cubs, well, hey, have we got a deal for you? A contribution, an enthusiastic expression of your support sent to our coffee page, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word, lowercase letters. And if you go there, well, you can show your support. Just leave us a little tip. Buy your favorite beaver a mug of hot chocolate or your favorite grizzly bear a cup of hot coffee and say, good job. And just like Kit, I believe Cheryl did, thank you so much for your contribution. We really appreciate it. Thank you. First time donor, I believe. And Kit Wendy as well. Thank you so much, who wrote us a message. Hey guys, was away on holidays in Europe. It seems the Netherlands, Germany, and Denmark the past month. Ooh, lucky. Ooh, what a great, I hope you had a wonderful time. And was happy and felt comforted and grounded to catch up with your pods at the end of the day. You listened to us while you were on vacation? Oh, dear one. Thank you. Wow, that's a treat. Thank you, said with a heart. Appreciate you. Sending love and good vibes. Hang in there, Grizzly. Hope the employment prospects work out. Cheers, gents, with a couple of beers. So thank you, Kit. Wendy, how nice. How nice of you. Oh, what a sweet thing to say. You all are so nice. Thank you so much. That's so kind. And yesterday as well, a couple of kids, not yesterday, but over the course of the weekend, I know on Friday's show, and over the course of the weekend, some kids were in contact with me about our last two shows with some compliments with regard to particularly the interview we did with Mr. Gray and our interview style and interview questions and whatnot. And Kit Lori, Sue, thank you for that wonderful, wonderful, beautiful compliment. I cherish it very much. It's that one touched me. I do put a lot of work into my preparation and trying to being able to ask some questions that are relevant and that are worthy of our guests and the knowledge of our guests, and try to go above just the fluff. And I try to leave room as much as possible for our guests to shine, and that you noticed it, and that it's something that resonated with you. Does mean a lot to me. It's one of the most beautiful compliments I have received personally since we started this, and I do cherish it. It meant the world to me. So thank you so very much. I am, yeah. Yeah, I'm just, thank you. That's, I don't have anything else, but I was extremely touched. It was very kind for you to take the time to do so. Okay, enough with the mush. I'm a bit of a softie, you know that. Kids and Cubs. See, I even forgot where I am in the show. I'm still blushing. Because democracy is something that you do. Yes, there we go. Quebec Liberal leadership race. Of course, your votes have to be in July 9th to June 9th to June 14th, and the results will show up on July 14th. And at the moment, it seems that Pablo Rodriguez is in the lead, according to public opinion polling, but still lots of race to be left run yet. The candidates, of course, you can't register because that deadline is passed, but for those who are registered, the full campaign to sway you and to persuade you is on. So hopefully you're paying attention and you will vote wisely when the opportunity comes. As well as always, remember that the GoFundMe for Athana Metsalopoulos is still on. So if you would like to help the former CEO of Alberta Health Services being able to get to court, to be able to take some steps, well, first of all, to get what's hers before a wrongful dismissal, and then, of course, to keep speaking publicly about the alleged fraud or corruption that she has uncovered. Donation to that legal fund would be very much appreciated. If you go to saveathana.com, SAVEATA, sorry, ATHANA, so like Athena, but all A's, Athana. And you can find a way there. I think last time I checked, she was at 93% of her goal, so she's almost all the way there. And any additional contributions, of course, will be given to a charity. So please, if you have the ability to help, do so, because we can't allow governments to just throw the full weight of the state against private citizens, especially when they have discovered that government is doing something wrong. There has to be a mechanism for this to get out, and you have to be able to say it without risking losing everything that you have. So if you have an opportunity to do that, that would be great. All right. Words of wisdom. Trying to find some to be told. I've had a great weekend with the podcast and all that kind of stuff, and it's getting a little easier to get around with crutches. I'm, as I mentioned on the podcast, I'm sort of sore here. Yesterday I noticed some additional endurance is happening along. So again, I guess my one would just be, when you're doing something that's tough, just keep plugging away at it. And eventually, hopefully, it gets easier. That's about all I got. I'm a little low on wisdom today. Kids and cubs, it can be a tough world out there. So please do be kind to and gentle with yourself. And now, a little bit of audience participation, if you could. Mr. Beaver, cue the cock in 3, 2, 1. Oh, the hills are alive with the sound of music. I am happy to oblige. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. All right, kids and cubs, a little bit of Canadians who make us proud. In Czechia, there was a mountain bike race, World Cup race, in which, hey, geez, Team Canada actually swept the entire podium, gold, silver, and bronze, kids and cubs. Uh, Absolutely phenomenal result for Team Canada there. Gold in that race was won by, I will get that for you. Whoops, computer's going a little wacky. There we go. The gold medal, it's a women's under 33 XCC race. Ava Holmgren, Isabella Holmgren won silver, and Ella McPhee won bronze. So a full sweep in that race. Congratulations to the Canadian athletes there. In wheelchair athletics, Brent Lakatos took the first place in the T53 800-meter race at the WPA Grand Prix and Nottville with a strong finish of 1:32:49. It was a composed and powerful performance on the track. Of course, we talked to you about Victoria Mboko. At Ottawa Race Weekend, Charles Philibert Thibodeau broke the Canadian 10K record with a blazing time of 28.06 seconds, taking 3 seconds off the former national record. So congratulations to him on that. In para kayaking, Brianna Hennessy won the KL1 200-meter bronze medal event at the Paracanoe World Cup event in Poznan, Poland. So great for her. And in more paddling success, Katie Vincent and Zoe Wojcik won the silver in the women's C2 500-meter at the ICF Canoe Sprint World Cup in Poland as well. So lots of success for Canadian athletes all around the world and in various events, making us proud left, right, and center. Got to cheer them on, kids and cubs. Remember, if you are into the PWHL, today there is that match that you'll want to tune into at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Minnesota Frost against the Ottawa Charge. Could extend the series, or that could be the end. So keep your eyes out for that. And if you are a tennis fan and are following the French Open, kids and cubs, on the courts today for Canada will be Gabriel Diallo and Denis Shapovalov on the men's side playing. So you might want to tune into that. That's all I got for you today, kids and cubs. I hope you have a most beaverific day. All right? I am off.